I liked was that there was a master or a teacher at every table.
Always.
Yes, there was.
Of course, that was important because it made sure that the conversations never got out of hand, that people didn't didn't start talking about topics that might be offensive to others. And a good master, a good teacher would guide the conversation onto certain topics, whether it was our schooling or recent expeditions or recent long weekends and so on. But they weren't intrusive. They let us have our conversations. Just made sure that the boundaries were maintained, and that was very good. I think it was an important education experience, that element in particular, because it taught us how to behave like adults at a table, at a meal.
John Moodie, when you teach at that school that you've been teaching at, do the staff eat with the students, or is it separated?
You see, Egal was quite unique, and I don't think there are many schools like that where everybody, in fact, lived in the school. So, in fact, meals were just a small minority of the school people, boarders who remained in hostel. The other kids went home. So, and I think that's the general rule, where Egal had everybody eating. I think there were a couple of things linked to the eating, which I think was quite unique as well about Egal, is that you had a full day, that the program of the school with off periods and other study halls, and when you got, and of course the whole rank system in the school, when you were a certain rank, you went back to your room to work, and so it was a comprehensive school day, starting in the morning with jumping around in the snow. I'm sure you all remember, in the cold shower, and then breakfast, and then actually skiing or sport after lunch, and then classes again, and then back to supper, for which we incidentally used to put on a jacket and tie, I think, after showers, and then there was a prep after that with a study hall, and so the whole day was linked, and I think most private schools where there are all boarders, yes, the staff. The other school I was at, the staff actually sat up on the table on the which is probably the English public system, in the dining room away from the kids, although from above. Now, a couple of interesting things I recorded. You were talking about meals. I think at one stage, I forget who it was, a child or one of those, threw the slip across the table, and I remember it was Robert Boaz, and his eyes nearly popping out of his head. So certainly having the staff eating with the at the tables was an excellent thing, and we never felt, or I never felt that the staff were pleasing us at that time. They were simply eating with us. And Fritz Koch used to have that delightful habit of sticking his serviette in his neck and then cleaning his cutlery. He always used to wash his cutlery a second time. So they're lovely little stories that one thinks back to about meals. But and I think that eating in tables, but it was because everybody was part of that school. I think interestingly, you're talking about meals. There was an experiment and this was quite avant-garde for that time. Corlette did an organic diet for one of the hostels and actually weighed us all, apparently, and so all the lettuce we ate was one house, I think it was Claremont actually, that the organic food, and there was definitely I would like to know how that worked out. I think there was a slight weight gain of the people who ate organic food. Now, I mean, that was way back in the 60s. So that was an interesting. I also remember that the kids weren't always that well behaved. There was a chef at Claremont who wasn't so good. He was drunk. And I think they gave them too much cabbage, so they all walked down and tipped the cabbage down into the kitchen and then walked out. So staff didn't stop that. But it was definitely the meals were things I remember, as being happy experiences. In fact, that's probably the key to most of our experiences at Egal, is that we enjoyed the school. I mean, it's so sad talking to kids, even my kids, and they come and you talk about them and they say, school was a bit of a drag, it was horrible. And I was very happy. I didn't know if everyone else on the school was happy, but that was a huge plus for me.
It's interesting that you should mention that experiment that Mr. Corlette had with special meals. I was part of that for a while. His idea was to have organic food, but not only that it would be organic, but that it would be pure in some sense. I remember, for example, pure and elemental. I remember, for example, that one of our meals was a round slab of camembert, and that was it.
Oh my gosh!
And that was the entire meal, and it was interesting. I think another one was maybe potato and something else. They were very, very ascetic, and I think Mr. Corlette was a very ascetic person himself, and that was reflected in the meals. It's interesting, though, to try and track the origins of his philosophy, and I think I'm pretty sure that an important influence on him was Rudolf Steiner. I don't know if you all are familiar with his thinking.
Like Waldorf schools, you go into a Waldorf school and there are virtually no books because the kids actually make their books. They don't learn the alphabet, they dance it. Like the letter M is used with arms, and you go up and then down, forming the peaks and valleys, and you're singing. I'm familiar with Steiner's philosophy.
Yes, well, I made the connection with Steiner only recently when my kids, now aged 7 and 9, entered a Waldorf school system.
Because it's the whole person. It's not an academic, we're going to fill your heads with things. It's
like Mr. Corlette, they have a holistic philosophy.
Right.
It's not just teaching your mind or getting you to pass certain tests and getting your certain grades so that you can go on to the next level. It's a holistic philosophy that makes you not only study the right things at school, but learn to behave with each other. There's a very strong social element to the Waldorf system. It teaches you how to behave at home. There are strictures on how parents, not so much strictures, but a lot of guidance on how to treat your children, how to interact with the children, what they should and should not do at home. I find that a little bit oppressive at times. But again, it's only guidance, follow it or not. But it's part of it's part of addressing the whole human being, the whole being, the mind, the body, the imagination, the spirit, again, like Mr. Corlette, what the Washington Waldorf system does is to set out boundaries